Hello friends, welcome to Knowledge Galaxy to rediscover the basics with Mayank Tiwari, a premier coaching and training channel dedicated to metallurgy studies and consultancy. This is what primarily the Knowledge Galaxy is. Established to cater the needs of students, degree, diploma and AIM, IIM, metallurgy, competitive and recruitment exams for GATE, SAIL and various other government and private sector companies, metallurgical industries and whosoever seeking knowledge and information about various subjects and topics of metallurgy, operational process optimization, productivity improvement analysis, concepts like 5S, total productive maintenance, TPM, quality circle, QC, root cause analysis, RCA, ISO systems, QMS, EMS, and OSAS, practical and effective communication English, written and spoken. My dear friends, to impart practical industrial knowledge as per your specific requirements via tailor-made training sessions for your colleagues, employees and students, please contact me on knowledgegalaxy26@gmail.com or WhatsApp me on +919907144101 for scheduling and organizing the sessions at your place or via video conferencing. My dear friends, another most important feature of my channel is that specialized subject-wise coaching classes are available for Diploma Engineering, Metallurgy and Mechanical, IIM, Indian Institute of Metals Part 2 or Section B, and competitive and recruitment exams for GATE, SAIL and various other government and private sector companies, metallurgical industries. Here, complete syllabus coverage will be provided for the students aspiring to appear in the forthcoming semester exams, that is December or June. So please contact me on knowledgegalaxy26@gmail.com or WhatsApp me on +919907144101 for scheduling and organizing the classes via video conferencing. My dear friends, all the students who aspire to appear in the next exams and need some guidance on any subject of metallurgy, they can contact me and they should contact me as soon as possible. My dear friends, I have made so many videos which are available on my channel. So I request you, all of you, to please do visit my channel regularly and repeatedly and watch all the videos carefully so that you can gain the complete knowledge of the topic and the subject. My dear friends, here I am very much thankful to all my subscribers who believe in me and have shown faith on my content. So I am very much thankful to all of my subscribers, and with this video I expect minimum 10 new channel subscribers who also believe in me and like my content. So my dear friends, do remember to subscribe my channel and watch all my videos available there so that you can gain the maximum knowledge. Now my dear friends, this video I have made specifically for the students of degree and diploma metallurgical engineering branch and mechanical branch also, who study material science and need some more guidance. So in this video I will be discussing about classification of materials. So let us start the presentation for today. First of all, the materials tetrahedron. Let me explain what it is. A material scientist has to consider four intervened concepts which are schematically shown as the materials tetrahedron. When a certain performance is expected from a component and hence the material constituting the same, the expectation is put forth as a set of properties. The material is synthesized and further made into component by a set of processing methods, example casting, forming, welding, powder metallurgy, etc. So this is the material tetrahedron where The parts are performance, structure, properties, and processing. All four are interlinked and they make the material's tetrahedron. The structure in turn determines the properties which will dictate the performance of the component. Hence, each of these aspects is dependent on the others. So, what determines the properties of materials? These are some common questions which arise in the mind of a metallurgist or a material science engineer. So, cannot just be the composition. Next question, few tens of ppm of oxygen in copper can degrade its conductivity. So, only the composition cannot determine the properties of a material. Next, it cannot just be the amount of phases present, as a small amount of cementite along grain boundaries can cause the material to have poor impact toughness. It cannot just be the distribution of phases, as dislocations can severely weaken a crystal. It cannot just be the defect structure in the phases present, as the presence of surface compressive stress toughens glass. The following factors put together determines the properties of a material. First is composition. Second is defect structure in the faces and between the faces. Third is residual stress can have multiple origins and one may have to travel across length scales. Third is these factors do not act independent of one another. There is an interdependency. All these factors work together. Hence, one has to traverse across length scales to look at various aspects to understand the properties of materials. So, these are the various points, phases and their distribution. They are interlinked with defect structure, residual stresses, composition. They all are interlinked and work compositely on a particular material to determine its properties and effects. So let us now have an introduction. Classification of materials. First, like many other things, materials are also classified in groups so that we can recognize them without any complexity. There are many ways of classifying them based on many criteria. Example, crystal structure, that is arrangement of atoms and bonds between them, or properties or use. Main classes of present engineering materials are metals, ceramics, polymers, composites, semiconductors and biomaterials. Let us now discuss each of them in detail. First, start with metals. These materials are characterized by high thermal and electrical conductivity, strong yet deformable under applied mechanical loads, opaque to light, shiny when polished. These characteristics are due to the valency electrons that are detached from atoms and spread in an electron sea that glues the ions together, that is, atoms are bound together by metallic bonds and weaker van der Waals forces. Pure metals are not suitable enough for many applications, especially structural applications. Do remember this? Thus, metals are used in alloy forms, that is, a metal mixed with another metal or non-metal to improve the desired qualities. Example, steel, brass, cast iron, etc. Next is ceramics. These are inorganic compounds and usually made of either oxides, carbides, nitrides or silicates of metal. Ceramics are typically partly crystalline and partly amorphous. Atoms, that is ions, often in ceramic materials behave mostly like either positive or negative ions and are bound by very strong Coulomb forces between them. These materials are characterized by very high strength under compression, low ductility, usually insulators to heat and electricity. Example is glass and porcelain. Next comes the polymers. Polymers in the form of thermoplastic, nylon, polyethylene, polyvinyl chloride, rubber, etc. consists of molecules that have covalent bonding within each molecule and van der Waals forces between them. Polymers in the form of thermosets, example epoxy, phenolics, etc. consists of a network of covalent bonds. They are based on hydrogen, carbon and other non-metallic elements. Polymers are amorphous except for a minority of thermoplastics. Due to the kind of bonding, polymers are typically electrical and thermal insulators. However, conducting polymers can be obtained by doping, and conducting polymers matrix composites can be obtained by the use of conducting fillers. They decompose at moderate temperature of around 100 to 400 degrees Celsius and are lightweight. Other properties vary greatly. Next comes the composite materials. Composite materials are multi-phase materials obtained by artificial combination of different materials to attain properties that the individual components can't attain. An example is a lightweight brake disc obtained by embedding silicon carbide particles in aluminum alloy matrix. Another example is reinforced cement concrete, a structural composite obtained by combining cement, that is the matrix, that is the binder obtained by a reaction known as hydration between cement and water, sand, fine aggregate and gravel, coarse aggregate and thick steel fibers. However, there are some natural composites available in the nature also. For example, it's wood. In general, composites are classified according to their matrix materials. The main classes of composites are metal matrix, polymer matrix and ceramic matrix. Now let us consider semiconductors. Semiconductors are covalent in nature. Their atomic structure is characterized by the highest occupied energy band, the valency band, where the valency electrons reside energetically full, such that the energy gap between the top of the valency band and the bottom of the empty energy band, the conduction band, is small enough for some fraction of the valency electrons to be excited from the valency band to the conduction band by thermal, optical or other forms of energy. Their electrical properties depend extremely strongly on minute proportions of contaminants. They are usually doped in order to enhance electrical conductivity. They are used in the form of single crystals without dislocations because grain boundaries and dislocations would degrade electrical behavior. They are opaque to the visible light but transparent to the infrared. Examples are silicon, germanium, gallium and arsenide. Gallium arsenide is a GaAs as a compound semiconductor. Let us now discuss about biomaterials. These are any type of material that can be used for replacement of damaged or diseased human body parts. Very important. Primary requirement of these materials is that they must be biocompatible with body tissues and must not produce toxic substances. I do repeat, primary requirement of these materials is that they must be biocompatible with body tissues and must not produce toxic substances. Other important material factors are first ability to support forces, low friction, wear, density, cost and reproducibility. Typical applications involve heart valves, hip joints, dental implants, intraocular lenses, etc. Examples of biomaterials are stainless steel, cobalt 28, chromium 6, molybdenum, titanium 6, aluminum 4, vanadium, ultra high molecular weight polyethylene, high purity dense aluminum oxide, etc. Now, definition of solid. Let us see how it is defined. The state of matter that has definite shape and volume is known as solid. Solids are characterized by incompressibility, rigidity and mechanical strength. It indicates that in solid state, the constituent particles, atoms, ions or molecules are closely packed in some definite geometric arrangement with very small vacant shape or voids among the neighboring particles. The constituent particles are held together by strong forces of attraction. The constituent particles vibrate about their mean position. Classification of solids. Now, on the basis of arrangement of constituent particles, that is atoms, molecules or ions, solids are divided into three categories. First is crystalline, second is polycrystalline and third is amorphous. Let us see all of them. First, start with crystalline solids. The solids whose constituent particles are arranged in a definite pattern throughout the entire three-dimensional network of the crystal are known as crystalline solids. They have long-range order of constituent particles. They are isotropic, that is, they are having same properties in all directions. They possess very sharp melting point, definite geometrical shape and give clean cleavage of the crystals. They don't lose shape under their own weight. Examples are sugar, NaCl, urea, sulfur, etc. Next comes amorphous solids. The solids whose constituent particles don't possess an ordered arrangement over a long range are called amorphous solids. Although they possess the properties of incompressibility and rigidity to a certain extent, yet they don't have definite geometrical shape. They lose their shape under their own weight, don't possess sharp melting points and also don't give clean cleavage of solids. They may be regarded as supercooled liquids whose stiffness is due to an exceptionally high viscosity. They are also called pseudo-solids. Examples are glass, rubber and plastics. These solids are isotropic in nature, that is, they have similar physical properties in all directions. The distinction between crystalline and amorphous forms is nicely exhibited in boron trioxide, that is B2O3, which can occur in both crystalline and amorphous forms. Crystalline solids based on nature of bonding are classified in four main categories. First, ionic crystals, second, covalent solids, third, metallic solids, and fourth, molecular solids. Ionic crystals, let us now discuss about. In these crystals, the ions are held together by strong electrostatic force of attraction. Each positive and negative charge is held together by certain fixed number of opposite ions at fixed points in three-dimensional spaces. These points are called lattice points. We will discuss it in later time of course. Examples are NaCl is an ionic crystal in which each sodium positive ion is surrounded by 6 chlorine negative ions and vice versa. Other examples are KNO3, LiF, BaSO4, BaO, MgO, etc. Important characteristics. They have very high melting point and boiling point. Second, heat of vaporization is very high. Next, these solids are hard and brittle. Electrical insulators in solid state but conduct electricity in aqueous solutions. These are the important properties or important characteristics of ionic solids. Next, in these crystals, the atoms are held together by a continuous system of covalent linkages. The covalent bonds extend in 2 or 3 dimensions to give rise to giant network structures. Examples are diamond, silica, tin, boron nitride, graphite, carborandum, quartz, etc. Important characteristics are they have generally very high melting point and boiling point, poor conductor of electricity. These solids are generally very hard. Covalent solids doesn't dissolve in polar solvents. In these solids, the lattice points are occupied by kernels, that is positive ions. These kernels are immersed in a sea of mobile electrons. Important characteristics are they are quite hard and tough, good conductor of electricity, and their appearance is shining when freshly cut. Generally elastic in nature. Molecular solids. In these solids, the lattice points are occupied by chargeless molecules. The intermolecular forces of attraction are hydrogen bonds. They are soft solids. They have low melting and boiling points. They are volatile solids and have high vapor pressure. They have low heat of vaporization. They are non-conductors of electricity. Now, polycrystalline materials. A solid can be composed of many crystalline grains not aligned with each other are known as polycrystalline. The grains can be more or less aligned with respect to each other. The contact points of these grains is called grain boundary. Now, let us discuss about the main differences between crystalline and amorphous solids. First, crystalline solids. First, their constituent particles, atoms, molecules or ions are arranged in a regular pattern containing short range as well as long range order. Amorphous solids, the constituent particles, atoms, molecules or ions are not arranged in any regular pattern. They may be at the most some short range order only. Second, crystalline solids, they have sharp melting points. All the bonds are broken at particular temperature as all bonds are of equal strength. Second point of amorphous solid is they melt over a range of temperature as all the bonds are not of equal strength. Third point, crystalline solids, they are isotropic. Amorphous solids, they are anisotropic. Fourth point, crystalline solids, they undergo a clean cleavage. amorphous solids, they undergo an irregular cut. My dear friends, these are the main basic differences between crystalline and amorphous solids, which is often asked in various exams and Viva based interview questions also. So do remember all of them and understand each point very carefully. My dear friends, hope you liked the content and found the video worth. And so please don't forget to like, share and subscribe the channel. Also remember to press the bell icon so that you can get the notification of the new videos promptly. My dear friends, with this I rest my voice for this video and we'll see you soon with my next video. Till then, thank you very much for watching and see you in the next video. Thank you very much.